into the story itself. Yahoo Sports got its hands on the 137-page response from the University of Michigan to the NCAA regarding those allegations, of which there are many level 1 charges, the most serious violations that you can have in the NCAA bylaws, the show cause for Jim Harbaugh, numerous penalties for the university and for the football program in relation to the alleged sign stealing operation spearheaded by Connor Stallions. There are a couple of sort of big ways that I viewed this. Curious about you too. Number one, they're trying to say that it didn't help us that much, which for Michigan fans was always sort of a part of the conversation as they went on their way to a 15-0 season at national championship. Number two, that the details of the operation, indicated things that they could not necessarily tie to Connor Stallions specifically quite as much. They are asking for a lot of the level 1s to be dropped to level 2s. That kind of feels like you're talking down speeding tickets in the courtroom with your lawyer. Again, we've got our own attorney here who can weigh in on that. But then there's also this last piece that the call came from inside the house.
Oh,
it's juicy, right?
There's a rat. That one hurts, I think, a lot.
I mean, they're big on their family. One of our own going to go out there. Danny, as we start to pull this apart, what were some of your takeaways from what we learned from Ross Dellinger's reporting over at Yahoo Sports and sort of illuminating to me, telling us what Michigan's position is for what is not a legal fight, but takes the vibe of a legal battle in the enforcement, not the courtroom, but the enforcement room between the NCAA and Michigan.
This feels like the tell-all with Andy when the Real Housewives all come together at the end, and like the whole season's in the can, and now you're rehashing everything, and they just like somebody's about to fly over a couch with a flying leg kick of another one. Like, we already kind of know what's transpired. We've got all the juice out of it. It's like, can we squeeze a little bit more? And I think Ohio State fans are like, see, we told you it wasn't anybody else. It wasn't Ryan Day. It wasn't his brother. It wasn't anybody that was, had to do with us. Michigan is still saying, see, this was not a big deal. You guys are just coming for us, trying to make us a scapegoat and punish us. I'm here for all of it because I'll watch the final. I'll watch the finale. I'll come do it. I still think it was a big deal, but like, do I care that much? Do I want them to strip wins? No, I'm kind of over it. I think everybody's kind of over it, which is except for Ohio State and Michigan fans. I think the rest of us have kind of moved on.
Okay, all right. So this is what they're doing. They are calling the NCAA's bluff on the NCAA's power. That is the way. That's the way that you attack the NCAA. You lawyer up. You try to talk your way down. You continue to just go on the offensive, go on the aggressive. Anybody who has laid down to NCAA violations has then seen a case right behind them where they fought it and got out on a technicality. And they're like, why in the world did we self-impose this bowl ban or this postseason ban? I mean, this is Michigan continuing to take the approach that the NCAA cannot enforce, its rules with any kind of strength. And so, why are we going to lay down, even if Jim Harbaugh is gone, even if Jesse Minter's gone, even if so many of these other individuals that might be tied to this are never going to coach at Michigan again? To me, I read the response and I was like, okay, so you're just going to give them a heat check on every single one of the, we are going to nitpick every single one of these allegations. We are going to try to turn down the temperature on every single one of these allegations. And, as we continue to have that larger conversation about the NCAA and what exactly is it that you do here? That kind of conversation. To me, I look at Michigan and I see another instance of a well-funded, high-powered athletic department that's like, how about hell no? What do you think about that? And we'll see how it plays out.
I mean, if you look at recent results, how the hell can you not want to go to court with the NCAA right now? They're getting blown out every single time they step in a courtroom, so of course you're going to go. I mean, part of the problem that the NCAA faces is that it's not an actual, legal body. It has no subpoena power. It can find these violations, but unless somebody just comes and tells them everything that's happening and has all the evidence to support it, there's really nothing the NCAA can do. So if you're Michigan and you're just sitting there and the NCAA's hit you with all these allegations, it's like, all right, where's the proof? Oh, you don't have any? Well, okay, well, we're going to come and take you to court. And it's just, that's all this is. And really, the NCAA's only real weapon is to publicize the allegations. That's it. It's just like a PR battle at that point to make Michigan look bad, which, again, I'm not here to argue whether it was cheating or not, because it was. They broke rules. Like that, you cannot dispute. Whether it really helped them win anything, it probably helped a bit in games. I don't think it's the reason they won a national title, but
yeah, 13 NFL draft picks probably helped too.
Yeah, and you didn't have them. You didn't have the signs in the playoff, and you still won the college football playoff. So I just think that this is the same boring. Like I've never given a damn about the NCAA or NCAA violations. These stories bore me to tears, and I know we have to talk about it, but I do not give a damn about any of this stuff.
Honestly, like same, and unless it's going to bring about some kind of massive change to the sport.
Well, how could it? What do you mean?
I don't think it will. Like I'm interested in some of these like player empowerment cases because of like, oh wow, like the transfer portal doesn't exist. Like that is interesting to me. And stuff like that. Like, oh, JUCO doesn't count against eligibility. But like I just think all these teams cheat their ass off, and it's just your turn to get caught. Like if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying in college football. Like I've said that since the Michigan thing happened. And it was like, all right, they'll probably beat it. Maybe they'll get a slap. I think they're probably too big of a brand to actually get serious penalties.
Yeah, I mean, nobody thought that this was going to end up in a postseason ban. We don't do that anymore. We don't do TV bans anymore. And no, we don't do
made for good headlines. But I mean, yeah.
Well, I make for a great.
They give Harbaugh the show cause after he's already left. That's the NCAA in a nutshell. He's gone. He's not coming back. Well, you can't come back. You can't quit. You're fired. I mean,
does college football need enforcement? Like, should enforcement even exist then in college football?
Yeah, somebody has to enforce rules. It's just the NCAA is not the body to do it right now because the NCAA doesn't really have any power. Like the Big Ten and the SEC are telling the NCAA what to do most of the time. The schools control the NCAA. Danny talked about it on Monday's show, his one wish to completely revamp the entire sport. I do think that the one thing we're going to see is that the conferences are just going to have their own governing bodies. The NCAA, I think, is on life support as far as its current iteration. I think it could continue as a party committee organizing tournaments and telling you what music you can play in the stadiums. But other than that, I don't really think it has much of a future.
But in this case, don't you think they have some power over integrity? Like it's not a cheating I mean, I guess it's all what's done is done. So I mean, I guess they could strip wins, and then it's just embarrassing.
Yes, but like
again, that's just PR. Nobody gives a shit if you vacate wins.
Right, but if we're reimagining the future of college football, is there even a need for enforcement of stuff like this?
There's a need for enforcement, but like to Tom's point, it's not the NCAA. It's probably commissioner.
It's going to be like salary cap rules and that kind of stuff. That's going to be what you need to enforce in the future.
Right.
Keeping like programs in check, keeping organizations
making sure everybody's playing by the quote unquote new rules that you have designed in this new look sport, which is going to be changing in the next few years. Once, as Bud mentioned, the real rulings come down and we have to decide what to happen.
I think there's probably some value in the NCAA in terms of being like a legal protection for much like the commissioner of the NFL is. Yeah, exactly.
And the NCAA will live on, as somebody pointed out, for baseball, soccer, lacrosse, all the non-revenue sports. It'll put on those championships. It'll monitor their competition. That's probably what they'll evolve into.
If we are to look at this particular case to try and learn about what enforcement, rule breaking, and punishments might look like in the future, the most impactful punishment in terms of its impact on the team and how swiftly it came about came from the Big Ten league office. And maybe that is what the future is, that if you are really going to talk about punishment, and that was under the integrity, I forgot the exact clause of it, but that was coming from the Big Ten league office, the competition or the competition violation or integrity violation like that is probably what we're looking at in the future, where it's not about these NCAA bylaws that are going to bring about they're not going to make anybody fear anything. You're just going to have to, for better or worse, empower these conference commissioners and empower these empower these league offices to be able to hand down any kind of violations, because this process, this NCAA process, as it was written, as it was constructed, is not having any impact in major college football, at least from what we're seeing right here.